How would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have Leah with us, and she built the seven-figure wellness brand from Burnout. Now she teaches others to heal and scale. So why most founder break down by year three, the CEO self-care blueprint, no one talks about it. The hidden ROI. I think that this is amazing, and we're gonna have a lot to cover in this broadcast today. So, Leah, tell us what are the 5 steps that entrepreneurs should be doing out there to make the first million.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Yeah, I think it's really important to tap into who you are first. Really get to know yourself before you launch a business is really key to see what's going to drive you. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you've got to be all in. You can't just do this, passive income wise. There's a
Tell me
lot of
about it.
yeah. There's a lot of opportunities out there, that people talk about, these digital nomads and all of these wonderful things. And people have this idea that you just like instantaneously start a business and make money, and it's not so easy. There are a lot of tech opportunities that have led people to huge fortunes very quickly, but most that are on the entrepreneurial route need to step back and understand that there is a lot of testing. You're like a scientist. You've got to really get to know yourself and what's going to drive you and motivate you, and something that you're so sure about that can really make a difference for the planet, for the humanity. Those are really good things to focus on, because as we mature and grow into human beings, a lot of times we're looking for that in our 40s and 50s. It's being a life coach, that's kind of an area that I'm an expert and honing in on that age bracket. It's not so much about just the money. There is a meaningfulness to what your work is going to be.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's really important as a key way to kind of tap into whatever area is going to make you feel that inspiration, feel that purposeful movement and motivation to really keep going, because it's not always easy. I run a home care agency. I'm a fortunate person that I was able to do a lot of testing in an employee role. So like it wasn't as risky for me because I was a COO of a company, and I did a lot of testing, and my science work was during that time period. And so I knew that it was something I could do, the
Very good.
expansion of home care.
Okay, so step number one, we got it clear, right?
Yeah.
So know yourself and take very seriously to know yourself, what you're gonna do, what type of business you're gonna have. And then what happened, Leah? What would be the step number 2, 3, 4, and 5?
Yeah. So, as I said, you can test things out. You want to test the marketplace. You want to look at what other companies are doing that are similar to your idea, and make a spin-off of that to really create a unique offering, that is just slightly different, so that it's more personalized to your whole perspective of what you can bring to that business. And, that's kind of what I did with my company. I know there's a lot of home cares out there. And that's, my business is home care. We actually are franchising the company and going nationwide.
Oh,
Currently,
wow.
currently we
So we can
cover,
say that step number 2 is a spin-off test and
yes.
and repurpose and spin. That's the step number 2. And the step number 3, what could be expansion, get a franchise, get it global, something
Yeah,
like that. How you
it depends
define it?
on, yeah, it depends on where you're at. Like a franchise is a big investment of a lot that has to do with operations. It's a whole nother
So
business.
before
So
franchise, you have to improve the operation, right?
You have to prove your business
Write your
model.
system and procedures.
And maybe that's going to be good enough for you, and maybe
And
it's going to be lucrative enough for you. Like my company actually, with a small area, you can produce $1 million in a very short time. So, you can get that in under a year. You could start producing $1 million with a franchise home care model. So, it is something that, I built to if the right person steps into it and they follow the training and all of the operation procedures, that they can actually achieve that very quickly. Not every business is so recession proof either. So that's one thing you want to look at too, is exploring those models that are more recession proof, that have real need based aspect.
mhm.
So, identifying that marketplace, that demographic, who are your clients? Who are they going to be? Who are you going to start speaking to? Create a marketing plan, that's solid for your business is really, step three is where you want to start really developing that offering to the market.
Creating so step three, what would be creating a marketing plan?
Yeah, solid marketing offering plan, and start implementing it. Really start taking those steps towards that $1 million revenue, right? And seeing your first clients come on, seeing, in my case, it's clients that we're dealing with that need services in their homes. So, it's like, for instance, we have to hire some employees at the same time that we're hiring, that we're bringing in clients. So it's a operational and bringing together the sales and bringing it together at the perfect timing and having the right oversight. So, every business has their own different intricacies, right? So, really understanding
Mhm.
what successful businesses do with their operations and their sales, and taking steps towards building plans for yourself to do that. Really inspecting and looking at what are the ways to grow, not just the
Mhm.
here, the now, like having those plans of what are our offerings going to be in a year? How are we going to keep the differentiating factors very
Mm.
understood and
Very good.
growing in the right way?
And what would
Um,
be the step number four and five? We don't
yeah.
expand too much because after we're gonna expand a lot. We have the whole broadcast for it. So very
Oh, okay.
condensed. What would be the step number four and five?
Oh, 4 and 5 is building your team. You're going to need a team. It usually isn't just one person that can do all of this. Even people like Deepak Chopra have a team,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that was one of my teachers, and seeing all of the wonderful teams that he has in place to support his initiatives and that sort of thing. So, building a good team, having people
That's
around
very
you,
important. Yeah.
yeah, that share your vision too is really critical as well. And then pumping in the energy, keeping the energy
Mm-hmm.
going. It's not always easy. You've got to believe in yourself and your product, and sometimes you can, feel like, what am I doing? Is this the right thing? Should I just go back to being an employee? But you know,
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship is worth it. It's not always easy. There are a lot of trials and tribulations, but knowing that you can make this happen is really critical. Like, just keeping on track with your self motivation is really important.
So now let's deep down, Leah, because you touch a point which is the burnout of the entrepreneur. So we both have built multi-million pound businesses, and that process is intense,
Yes.
as you well know, and it's very lonely. You have a lot of self conversation within yourself, especially at the early stage, going through this first million. Yeah, you have, when you build in the business at the beginning, you don't know. So you have the first clients, the clients don't want to pay you enough money. They ask you for discount. You need to go out there to try to sell your product a lot. On the other hand, the supply want to charge you more because nobody knows you. And then all these you build in the business, and then you're wearing all the hats because there is no money to pay everybody. So you're also exhausted, you're not sleeping that much, and then you have challenges from the customer side of it, challenging the supplier, challenge finding the deals, challenge to find the right contract, very exhausted, and then you can be have family and friends telling you you crazy, go and find a job. Who told you that you can have a business? What a stupid idea. Do you know anybody in the family that have a business? No one. So go back for a job. Why do you study or whatever? And then you have all these social pressure. Then also your friends, they are no entrepreneurs. So you go there, that happened to me. Go out with your friends. The first time when I start my business, I went out for a friend to have a drink. And then after this meetup, I realized that, wow, I'm about to lose all my friends because literally nobody cares about my business I was doing. Nobody cares. You know, they were talking about the job, they were talking about the holidays, they were talking about what they're gonna do when they have the planned holidays, and I'm like, guys, I'm not even thinking about holiday. I'm thinking to 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 pull this off first, and you know what I mean. So we were like completely different words. So all this process, Leah, a lot of negative emotions start to storage in your mind, in your brain, in your mindset. And these negative emotion, if you don't find a way to canalize them, this negative emotion can become physical. This emotional pain can become physical pain, and then you can end up with cancer. You can end up sick. You can end up with burnout, with the stress. So, when was the moment in your business that you decided, like, hey, I'm running this business. This business is not running me, because if I don't take this decision, the business literally can kill you. I know, because to me, when I have my property business, to a point, all the clients want to speak with me. And I'm like, I cannot speak with all the clients, guy, because when I sleep then, because you are so
Right.
many.
Yeah.
So if I speak 20 minutes with all of you, you tell me when I sleep. Ah, because they didn't care. They want to speak even if it's the evening, they don't care. But they said, you guys are gonna kill me. I only one person. And then I need to spend my whole the rest of my life speaking on the phone with you guys. So I had to hire a manager to deal with that. And then I said to this manager, look, I'm not Harry, you are Harry. So whatever want to speak with me will speak with you, and you sort it, but don't pass any con to me, because otherwise people are gonna kill me. So when do you took that decision that I had to take care of my mental health while growing this business, because this is too much, and I had to take all the decisions. So tell
Yeah.
us about your journey.
Well, it's kind of interesting because this is a big part of what I educate around in the
I
corporate
can
wellness.
tell. I can
Yeah.
tell. Yeah,
So,
I love this topic as well. I love it because being there.
yeah. And it's like one of those things that, it can sneak up on you, right? You said yourself you were doing phenomenal, you had a lot of clients, but then everybody wanted a piece of you, right? And there wasn't enough time for Harry to really be Harry anymore. And so that's one thing that is really important when you look at the purpose. That's why I say it's got to be a purposeful thing that you're doing, like means something to you. Because if you're investing this much of you into this business, then it's got to be something you love. Um, and even things that you love and expand on and grow into, and it can start wearing on you, right? It can start bringing you a lot of stress and anxiety and a lot of people taking your attention. And, building that team is really key, making sure you're getting your team right, having the organizational structure, looking at your org chart, making sure you've got coverage in certain areas that are really drawing from you. And one thing that I found at around year 2.5, like three, right between 2.5, three, I was really feeling that. I was like, boy, I'm never going to get above here if I don't put some people in place that are are gonna like offset some of this, right? So, you're only as good as your team. And that was what I did. I started to figure out how can I budget for these positions and, where do I start putting them in? And then making sure that I was ensuring that I got my self-care time, is really key. And one of the things that I find with my own purpose is the education piece of being out there helping others understand. It actually makes me better at it. When I'm educating and that sort of thing, I start finding myself saying, oh yeah, I'm somebody who really wants to do that too. So I should make that time to meditate in the morning. So yes, that's one really key thing that I've been doing for many years, and I contribute to my success as a meditation teacher as well. Meditation,
Very good.
yeah, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. And the focus in the morning is all about, the day, the month, the year, like what, of course I have my own goals as a personal vision, but the business as well, I wrap that in so that it's part of me. Like that's part of my life. So and then in the evenings, I'm really grateful for all I got done and all the things to come. So it's that, shifting every day. I focus on, okay, I know I'm going to be supplied with everything I need up front. I'm front loading my day with positivity. And at the end of the day, I'm saying thank you for all of that wonderful energy and all that's to come.
Yeah, and I think that the looking after your mental health when it comes to entrepreneurship, the more you advance in business, you realize that it's not only one. It was literally one person in this podcast, one entrepreneur that he had three businesses and all of them turning over $1 million, and the guy was vomiting blood. And he told
Oh,
me, and he of so much stress, so much thing, and he told me, Harry, I realized that I'm running these businesses, this business are not running me, and he took a year off to Thailand.
yeah.
I think he went, yeah. So we had previous guests of this very same broadcast. He shared the story here. So the whole point is that what's the point that we have this business and we're growing it and we're making this money doing this if at the end of the day, as part of it, you end up with cancer, you end up sick, you end up that you cannot operate, you couldn't. I'm the vivid experience of this. Look at me, I'm a little bit shabby because I have this wonderful idea that because my business was everything that was important to me, building it, I said, well, I have to save time. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna eat in the whole day. I'm gonna work, 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 get all the problems of the issue solved. And then about 9 p.m., 10 p.m., when I'm really, really starving that I cannot even move, I'm gonna call a restaurant and I'm gonna order food. I remember there in London there were two restaurants, one Chinese restaurant, one Indian restaurant. And because I want to save time, they already knew that if Harry calls, they already have the number of what I ordered before. Let's say those restaurants that have like 100 items and all of them have a number. So they knew that Harry last time ordered 53, that now it's 54, whatever. And so I was going through this restaurant by the numbers, and they was even sending me the food home like that. So you can imagine what a disaster. There is no healthy food, there is no diet. I just was eating whatever is next in the menu. Who cares? Send me so it doesn't sound very healthy. Because I want to save time. All my time was in the business, so no time for cooking, no
Right.
time for anything. And well, I'm still detoxing myself. I have
Yeah.
some process. It's been so many years of detox out of this process of building my business. So sometimes building your business, because you have so much this emotional pressure, you can make silly assumptions or silly mistakes. I don't know what I was thinking. That was a good idea to eat a lot right before
Mhm.
to sleep. Imagine how bad is that? So you eat a lot like crazy, and after you go to sleep, and all your organs working when you're sleeping. doing
Yeah.
the digestion and everything. Crazy. But
Yeah.
I thought that this was very way to save time.
Mm, mm,
So so building a business parallel, we have to look after the well-being. What I said, the main principle of this broadcast is we want the entrepreneurs to be wealthy, but also to be healthy and to be happy.
yes. Yeah.
And sometimes building the business, we forget about these two parts, that we also have to be healthy and we also have to be happy.
Mm,
And so when because you've been in this process of building this business and you know how important it is. Look at you talking about meditation, talking about being half an hour. Look at this, half an hour when you wake up and half an hour when you go before to go to bed. Now you find a startup founder that want to make 1 million, and you're gonna tell them, look guys, you have to meditate, you have to take half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening, and they're like, what? What are
mm-hmm.
you talking about? What are you talking about? I need this time to sleep. I need this time
Right.
to do this. No way that I'm gonna be meditating. Meditating for what? That's a conversation that. So how you uh, enroll the entrepreneurs about that the mental health is very important, because they need to have the mind clear to take the right decisions. Because in this state of when you're tired, when you are overloaded of work, when you're close to burnout, I don't think no any good decision might come from that state of mind, right?
Yeah, I hear everything you're saying. One of the most stressful things in people's lives are caring for their parents, right? So,
Tell me about I got that one in my shoulder
yeah,
at the
so
moment.
and
Mom and
most
dad.
people, right, most people our age do. They're experiencing their parents declining, possibly having falls. And I totally get it. Then you're adding layers of taking care of your children and then also your aging parents. There's so many stressors coming at us these days.
Mhm.
And then you have the cell phone, the innovation of technology, which is an amazing thing, but it can add a layer of stress, right? Because you just never can escape any kinds of communication like you could. I don't know how old you are, Harry, but back in the days,
48.
okay, well, I'm 55, and like we used to be able to hide from the phone, right? Many years ago. There's no hiding from it now. It's always
Mhm.
right near us. So, there's always a way to get in touch with everyone.
And
So I
then you
say all
touch
of
it,
that.
and then you touch this phone, and after you put it down, already 2 hours gone. And you
Yeah,
are like, in what I spent 2 hours? You have
right.
friends talking to you, you have this on a business thing, I don't
Yes.
know. So every time that I'm gonna touch it, I'm thinking twice, because every time that I touch it, something about that sometimes you have to do safe things to self-preserve. Something that I did, Leah, that changed my life forever. 17 years ago, I took a decision that my phone is gonna be on silent.
Good.
That I was in property mine, so we managed to save over 5 million doing this business. And the property business is very active on the phone. You have maintenance people calling you. You have the clients calling you. You have everybody want to call you. So it's a very phone oriented business.
Yes,
And what I
exactly.
shared with you, it was so many phone calls that I said, look, I either spend the whole day talking with this machine, or I won't be able to do anything else in my life. So I put it in silent, and then I decided that things people are calling me, they're urgent. It's urgent for them. It's not urgent for me.
Yeah.
So until today, I have my brother that still he doesn't understand after 17 years why I don't pick up the phone when he calls me. And he picked my phone. He's an IT developer, so he takes my phone. He's trying to put special ringtone for me to get at the phone. And these devices, they don't have that option. And he's looking and looking how, because still he gets very annoying when I don't pick up the phone. But I'm saying, look, it's not about I have this rule, because otherwise it's a problem. I cannot focus in what I have to do. And
Yes.
this is how it is. So the people that know me, and the people, my clients, my team, the people in the business, they know that if you text me by WhatsApp and you tell me what time, I check my calendar, we book a slot, and definitely we can talk. But this random thing doesn't work with me, and give me a lot of peace of mind, to be honest. One of the very simple thing um, that have a massive difference in my life as an entrepreneur. So, Leo, when you were running this business and you're close to a burnout and you're exhausted, and now you have to launch the franchise and a new challenge come, and now you do a research everything, you need to learn everything. So when do you realize that you need to start to look after yourself, you need to start to look after your mental health? This is not about growing and growing and growing and making money. Still, you need to look after your parents, you need to look after your children. Yeah, I don't have children, but I have my parents, and they're divorced, so one live in United States, the other one live in Spain, my mom in Spain, my
Oh,
dad in United States. So you can imagine I jump a lot and I travel a lot.
right. Yeah. Yeah. So
So
you're
they keep me very busy. Yeah.
right, exactly. Yeah. Well, it's very important to be mindful about those pockets of time that you can open up for yourself. And you set some boundaries, right? When you said I'm going to start planning the calls, not just accept anybody who calls. So it's important to start looking at your own, day as that. Like if you can just block that 30 minutes off, it's so critical for our brains to be in different
Mm-hmm.
states. And
Mm-hmm.
so, right now we're in beta brainwave state, but there's that area of meditation. We call it meditation, and it sounds so far reaching, but it's actually just a brainwave state. And what you do with that time that you're in that brainwave state is really, really important to your health
Mm-hmm.
because it's
Mm-hmm.
called alpha brainwave state. And so when you're in alpha brainwave state, you can sit there and you could worry, right? And you could stress and you could be t giving yourself a whole laundry list of things to be focused on. Or you could make that choice to take a different route, which is like I mentioned, gratitude or, setting positivity. And this sets up your brain to be wired a certain way. So different brain pathways are created during this time. So if you look at it from a standpoint of that whole entrepreneurial mindset, you're actually taking time to make sure and ensure that your brain is working optimally. And it actually has been shown that you grow gray brain matter when you meditate from 12 to 27 minutes per day.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
doing, yes. So, you hear some of the success stories out there. Oprah was a meditator, and Bill Gates, like these people, they did tap into other areas of their brain and were able to achieve huge things because of taking this small period of time during the day. So, when I look at meditation, I think that's an investment. It's like an investment in your health, an investment in your brain power, and an investment in, dementia proofing your existence. So I teach about all of this. We have classes going on, coming up, 8 weeks
Wow.
for a better brain. Yeah. So, lots of information on that.
Because the people think that if you work the whole day, you're gonna perform better and you're gonna get more done. But it
Yeah.
actually doesn't work like this. For me, for example, I'm finding my girlfriend and I, she's also an entrepreneur. We walk a lot, and we realize that walking is a very good way of us to exactly to to rechannel those emotions, okay, and to charge with positivity again, yes, and also because you're doing an aerobic exercise, you're walking, right? So your brain gets oxygenated, you are active, you can move. So this is a very important point. But I remember at the beginning of my career, I was no way that I'm gonna leave time to go and walk for 2 hours every day. Whether now is the opposite. We're looking at, and when we're working, we're gonna be very effective. And but when it's a stop, it's a stop, and then We look after our mind. We go for a walk. We play some sport. We go to dance. We do different activities, and we find out that in this short period of time that we're actually working, we get a lot done.
Yeah.
More than if you're working 14, 16 hours, that actually you think that you're working 14 hours, but you actually work 2 or 3. The rest is worrying
Right.
and thinking and tiredness and negative state and stress, migraine. That's all. You're tired then because you need to wake up the next day to go for 14 hours again.
Yeah.
And I've been there, done it in the past. I say suffer the consequences because the in that state is very strange that you take good decisions,
Yeah.
business decisions. Yeah, most of the time the decisions that were bad, and then you had to improve that bad decision, which is it comes with a more work, and sometimes you're frustrated that right the business go forward and forward. You are like stuck, and it doesn't matter how much you work, it doesn't go to the next level.
And the
So,
stress that it's bringing your body, the cortisol
mm-hmm,
that you're producing,
mm-hmm.
it's inspiring maybe genes to be turned, not DNA to be activated that wouldn't have been if you had been less stressed. And so cancers come out more, diabetes, dementia, high blood
You name
pressure.
it.
And so, my whole focus is to educate people how to counteract that, how to program your body to be producing endorphins. And, even it doesn't matter if you have your own business or not, like everyone should be focused on ways to perceive things in a more positive way and know that there's always solutions. Entrepreneurship is stressful, but it doesn't have to be a focus of worry and burden all the time. And if it is, then maybe you need to shift your business model. That's something that a lot of people need to understand, that if you're doing something that's not bringing you the joy, that's not bringing you the rewards, then take a step back and say, well, why am I in this?
Mhm.
And
And why
really,
you do and why you start in the first place? Because let me tell you what's going on out there. What's going on out there is very common. Yeah, we all been there because entrepreneurs, number one, we have ego. Yeah, so we think that we can do better. That's the main reason that we become entrepreneurs in the first place, right?
yeah,
So what happened with that ego is that then we build in the company, and we build this company is all about us. I'm the big boss. Everybody need to listen what I say. I'm taking all the decisions here. And when you go to building a company around that persona, around that ego, what happens is that when the company grow, and then you need everybody have to speak with you,
mm,
you will realize that it's amazing for your self-esteem that you are the big deal and everybody has to speak with you and everything, and you take all the decisions, but it's definitely not sustainable. And to the point that in my office I put a sign that to my team that I said, look, don't come to speak with me with a problem unless that you bring 2 or 3 solutions.
yeah,
And then they were coming and they will said, do you have the 2 or 3 solutions? Do you read behind me? No? Okay, go back. You have a problem? No problem. Come with 3 possible solutions. And everybody start to doing it. And then I would tell them, okay, fine. Out of these 3 solutions, which one pick your favorite? What I need to pick? It doesn't matter if I pick it or you pick it. We need to try if it works, it works. Otherwise, we need to pick the other one. So you choose. You choose. It doesn't really
I
matter,
love it.
honestly.
Yeah.
So I created this dynamic, and then it was amazing. I was free. They were not even coming to me when they have a problem anymore. And exactly one day I arrived to the office and they told me, Harry, we don't need you anymore. You go home, travel the world if you want, because we can grow this company without you. I'm like, what? I'm like, so you don't need
And
paper
now
in the
you have a
photocopy?
podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I said, you don't need paper in the photocopy. They tell me, no, we can get our own paper in the photocopy. And this is how we're going to grow it and go home. Once a month, I'm coming to see you, my general manager. And she was telling me, and I will tell you what I had done. So she was going there to tell me what she was doing with my company. Look, I did this. I hired these people, this client and that. We want to expand this. I'm like, okay, okay. So see you next month. Okay. My manager, don't go to the office. We don't need you there. Don't talk to the people because they need to work. Clear. I'm okay, fine. So the whole point is that, but I had to let that go. Something that you mentioned. Yeah. Uh, I had to let that go. That ego. I'm the big deal. I'm overpowering. I control everything. I take all these decisions. I also was there, it's lack of experience. We don't know any better until we try. But I realized since I surrendered that ego and I said, look, how can I help them? How can I be support for them? What about if I give them more freedom? Yeah. Why they decide right than me? Why if I'm not the big deal anymore? And they become the big deal. And
Yeah.
what it is, what if we reverse this? And so now they were the big deal and I was free, so I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I take it all the time. They are the big managers, they control, they're with the mobile phone, they're running the company, I'm telling Harry what I'm doing, you know what I mean? So they decide to become the big deal and I decided to
Step
don't be the
back.
big deal and
Yeah.
set back. And it's beautiful. It's have been beautiful for my health, for my mental health, for
Yeah.
exactly how I podcast now. And I talk to people, with entrepreneurs, which is only the only people that I can speak. We interview already over 500 millions in this podcast. Uh, the only group of people that understand me. So I don't have nobody else to talk to because they don't understand what I'm talking about. But
Oh,
in the in this podcast, because it's 5 steps how to make the first million, these people that show up to this podcast, they understand me, I understand them, and I'm meeting amazing people like you here. So I'm having a blast doing this podcast. That, by the way, my girlfriend Lily walked me into this. I was resisting a little bit at the beginning, but my girlfriend was, Harry, let's do a podcast. You do a podcast, I do a podcast. Let's have a podcast. I'm like, what? But I'm loving it actually. But
good.
then, Leah, in your case, you said that at some point you start to also surrender this, and you start to, okay, how can delegate this, how can delegate it, to the point that now you're franchising, which is amazing because you
Yeah.
franchise, you're getting out of this forever, yeah, because
Yeah.
everything is everything is on paper and written. I remember when I was working in the Hilton that these people, even to wash a plate, you need to read the book with procedure and we tell you exactly what kind of soap you're gonna use, what type of cloth you're gonna use, how many times you're gonna wipe the plate.
Yeah.
Everything was written in a book, so you don't need anybody to tell you anything. So when
Yeah.
you franchise, it's all about SOPs and everything. So literally, nobody needs to speak with you at all. So when do you took the decision that it's time to hire people to leave some control to other people? It's a little bit difficult because I've been in this process. Sometimes the employees misread that and they come thinking that they can tell you what to do, and it doesn't really work that way. So you have to embed this in the culture of the company easy
Yes.
and slowly so the people actually get it, that this is a collective effort for everybody to grow, and everybody had to have the decision making process. But this is no that we go and tell to Harry, you have to do this like an imposing. We have I've been there in that situation, and I was telling me, guys, I get it that you want to tell me what to do and you want to tell me all this, and you were involved the company. But remember, I built it. you're you're ready. You're here already. It's already created. And I
Yeah.
get it that you're passionate about your job and you think, but there is a layer below this one that you haven't go through. So that's why, you review your decision, try to do this, work with your teammates, listen everyone, and eventually you create that culture and in the company. And sometimes the people are not fitting in that culture and they check out themselves, but they don't feel comfortable anymore because they want to be, I don't know. Um, in that position, I don't know, the ego, in the position that I'm the boss, everybody have to say what to do what I say, and and if I build the company, I'm not like that. I'm not expecting anybody in the team to be like this, and this is where we have some issues in the culture, but we're refining and refining until finally works. It was not a process that was perfect from the beginning. You have a little bit of up and down, but at the end works amazing. I have to tell you. So what was this internal conversation that you have that say, you know what, I'm gonna release some time for me because I'm going to meditate, and I think that if I meditate this hour, rather than me doing this particular time, I'm gonna spend it meditating, and my mind is gonna be clear for the really thing that only I can do it amazing, and then try to seize control, because I say very easy, but it's difficult to seize control, to give control of the company to the employees, yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, I think
especially in
that
the decision making process, right?
yeah,
A
well,
little tough to let it go. Eventually you need to let it go, but it's not that easy, right?
it is not easy, but I think if you have a really good mission statement, it's extremely important to get that mission statement nailed down. And when you have people coming on, you identify that to them and get a real thorough understanding of what their reaction is. Are they feeling like, wow, that's a really great idea? Or, that isn't really something I'm interested in. Or, you know what? I can get behind this and I can put a lot of my energy and time in this. And when you start seeing that reaction and start seeing folks that are, contributing, like you said, people showing up at your office with ideas and that sort of thing, having a lot of thought outside of work, their like minds are working about it. You've got somebody hooked, right? Like you know that they're into this with you. And I just felt that I started seeing those people emerge. And there's some
Wow.
people on the team, that I've just kind of I haven't seen that emergence. They'll come and they'll go. Those people that aren't really hooked on what we do,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
they see that, and we don't push them out. We're not saying here's the door, but we're just kind of like, hey, if this isn't for you, maybe this isn't the right place for you. And
Yeah,
so
because it's the culture of the company that if it's not the right fit for the employee, it doesn't really work. So when we hire them, we try to make sure that the culture of the values of the person match with the culture and the value of the company. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We try to everybody that we bring in, if we make a mistake in the hiring process, but then when we bring them in, we try as much as we can to keep them, to train them. But especially in my company, I'm used to work with very little people and large businesses. So it's a company that how I am, like here we do everything. We do, and if we don't know, we look in internet and we find out how to do it. This is how we operate. Yeah.
yeah.
Even this podcast, I told my IT director, and I said, and Lily said that I had to do a podcast. And my IT director is a what? The podcast, something that people listen, like a radio. I said, really? That's what you want to do, guys, now? And he told me, okay, Harry, give me 3 weeks to see what can we do, because in my podcast now, these guys every month have something new. So, and and after 3 weeks he came and he said, Harry, you know what? Just press the button and forget about it. It will go automatically to your social media, to Amazon, to wherever. You don't worry about it. Just press the button, put the recording in this place, and that's it. Forget about we already developed the process, take care of rest, and pretty impressive what they have done. It goes to 16 different platforms, I think. They're
Oh,
putting a
that's
lot of
great.
they're putting a lot of prices all over my social media, you name it. And the whole point of this is that my team member didn't tell me, okay, Harry, this is not my job, So in 17 years that we are in business from our team, we haven't heard this is not my job, because when we bring them with the guys, this is small company. We are very few people, so we have to do different things, and these different things might change. Sometimes
You
things
have
that
to evolve.
we don't even know that is gonna happen. And so
Yeah.
if you are a person that likes to do new things, if you're a person that if you don't know how to do something, you look in internet and you try to do it, you're gonna be the right fit for this company. But if you're a person that you want to do a specific job and somebody comes to you and say, "Hey, can you do this?" And no, this is not my job. My job is this one. In my particular company is gonna have a big clash in the culture, but in another company that works amazing. So it depends
Right.
on the culture and the value of each company. So we had to try to bring, because that depends on the culture and the value of the entrepreneurs. Yeah. So
Mm.
how, Leah, how you value culture? Um, because all the millionaires that we have interviewed here in this broadcast, most of the time when I tell them, okay, if you had to start all over again, what was the thing that you would pay more attention? And they always tell me, Harry, culture. Because if
Yeah.
I knew that's going to be 10 times, 100 times harder, and this process, I will pay more attention what people I bring in, what culture I embrace in the company, and how this culture improve, because it's not the same when you have a startup and you are 5 or 6, that everybody's working 12 hours, 14 hours, and let's make this startup succeed. Yeah, when you have 8, 10 people, that's amazing. A culture, let's do it together. But when you have 200 people employees, that doesn't work. Because you're not gonna have 200 people working, as committed. So the culture will change. And now that you with the franchise, one more upgrade to this culture, because now the culture of the franchise is a large operation. New people are coming in and they need to be trained in values and culture and everything. So how important is culture in order to grow a business?
Yeah, I feel it's so critical, the culture of us actually being support systems to one another too. It's not just do this work, get this paycheck. There's a lot. We're like family, and that's kind of why the whole experience is you've got to really be driven with this mission when you're in home care. It is a lifestyle.
Hmm.
And so, a lot of our caregivers, they come from all over the country. We have over 300 employees that
Wow.
service Maine and Massachusetts currently. Yeah. And as we expand, and bring out this culture into the franchise world, I'm getting a lot of good reception because people that are wanting to step in and be franchisees, they're looking for that kind of leadership. And so one of the things that we are working towards is to develop not only the business model that'll be successful in a certain area for a franchisee, but how do we support those franchisees from a cultural standpoint from the corporate level? So that is where my whole education program comes in for wellness and serving the families. We're going to be looking at retreats, bringing, we
Wow.
have one that we're planning for the fall. Yeah. So bringing families that, maybe are impacted by their aging loved ones having dementia and having them come in for a retreat so they can have some time to meet other people that are going through this and then also learn self-care techniques for themselves. I'm a certified dementia practitioner and also educator for the National Association of Certified Dementia Practitioners. So I, do a lot of education around that. How do you care for that individual that you love so much that you're seeing, change and still care for yourself? 1 in 5 people that are caring for their loved one are actually at risk to pass before that person with Alzheimer's. That's
Mm.
a real statistic. So, those are things that I'm looking at. Like, how do we shift the landscape of generational health? We talk about health as being you said it, Harry. It's pretty important, right?
Absolutely.
It's almost more important than the dollars we're making.
Well,
Health,
all the millionaires that I know, they will change all the money for one more day of life.
yeah,
This I can tell you.
right. Without the health, you don't have the wealth. So
And,
that's one thing that our company is extremely focused on is promoting generational health in families. How do we educate and help families really start shifting that? And that's our mission. That's one of our big missions is doing that. And the franchise, yes, we're still caring for seniors in their home and other adults that need it. That's how we make the money that goes around and around, right? But you also have a great mission here that is cultural, and we're trying to influence and provide a cultural shift to the health and well-being of families in America.
So, Leah, if somebody's in love with our conversation and want to know more about you, how people can find you, how this process works, very briefly?
Yeah, so my website is perfectcarematch.com.
Very good.
And that's a great place to explore more about me, about what we're doing and how
Mhm.
we're impacting things. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, Perfect Care Match. So it's all branded under Perfect Care Match. And I am on LinkedIn. So Leah Marie, I go under that name. I am a board certified holistic practitioner. I do a lot of education, webinars, that sort of thing. So that website that I mentioned, Perfect Care Match, you can see all of those coming up.
That's fantastic. And for all of you following this broadcast, see you now on next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneur like Leah break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.